flow through and people can get seated. I like this. It's a lot more intimate than I originally thought. I'm excited. First of all, hello everybody. My name is Dior J. Stevens. I am the co-editor. Oh, don't do that. I am the co-editor-in-chief of Foglifter Journal and Press, and I'm here with so many of my wonderful team. We have my co-editor-in-chief Milo there manning the table. Susanna's over here doing our live stream. Hello to everyone online. And Marina, our managing editor, is somewhere roaming about. So thank you all for being here with me. She's our comms and community manager as well, that I should mention. So welcome. We really appreciate you all being here. To our readers, thank you as well. I'm really excited to hear you all. Just a few housekeeping things before we begin. We want to acknowledge that Brooklyn sits on the unceded homeland of the Lenape and Canarsie peoples. We also want to remind you guys that there are 2 restrooms down here. There's one at the end of the hallway. It's a big, beautiful, ornate door. And there's another smaller one in the hallway, a white door. We are live streaming, so if you want to avoid that for any reason, just so you're aware. If there are any sort of accessibility issues, please let any of us know. We're happy to accommodate. And also, just lastly, silence those phones, because it's a small room, and that ringtone's gonna ruin everything. Lastly too, just no smoking on the premises, no vaping. Sorry guys, that's for later. And please just stay down here on the first floor and do not go upstairs. You're all here because somehow you know Foglifter Journal and Press. We are a queer and trans journal and press based out of the San Francisco Bay Area. This is our 11th year of operation, and we're really happy and proud about that. Yes, thank you. And continuing the tradition of publishing groundbreaking and innovative queer and trans work by marginalized groups, including our BIPOC, our youth, our elders, so many more. So thank you for being a part of this community and being here. We're gonna have some journals, or we do have journals over there actually. Our latest, our beautiful cover, some of my favorites. So if you're looking to pick up one of our journals, we'd be so happy to sell you one. We also will be taking orders for subscriptions as well. So my managing editor, Marina or Milo, will help you out with that. And last but not least, we wanna just encourage you to follow all of our social medias, Foglifter Press. You can also talk to Susanna over there for that. Welcome. I am going to pass the mic briefly to Lauren, who is the site director for Hawthornden House Brooklyn. She's going to speak a little bit more about Hawthornden and what they do here. And I'll be back after that.
Hello. Well, it's kind of the right height. My name is Lauren Goldenberg. I'm site director here at Hawthornden Brooklyn. I just want to welcome you all to this space, and we're so glad that Foglifter is doing this event here tonight. I just wanted to give you a few words about where you are. This is a non-residential writer's residency, which means we have 7 offices for writers. You can apply. The applications have closed for 2027, but you can sign up for our mailing list right outside. We run programming, and this way you'll get the announcement when we open applications again. We are open to all genres of writers. If you get in, their sessions are 6 weeks long. We run 5 sessions a year. This is only our 2nd year of operations, so we're just really excited. Things have been going very well. In that we're happy to have our grantees doing events here, and we do other readings and other programming throughout the year. So I just wanted to let you know that's what this building is, and it's part of Hawthornden Foundation that also runs a writer's residency in Scotland called Hawthornden Castle, and one in Italy called Casa Echo. If you have any questions, please feel free to talk to me after the event. And again, you can sign up for our mailing list. We don't send a lot of emails, so you should. The only other 2 things I'll say, just in terms of housekeeping, I forgot to print out, but the alcohol that we will be serving is for those 21 and older. You all look extremely mature and of age. I'm just saying that, because if you are under 21, we will ask for you. And that is it for me. Welcome again, and I'm so excited to have you all here reading. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren, and thank you again to Hawthornden. We really appreciate your collaboration on this event. We're gonna get into it, y'all. The flow of the evening is gonna be each reader gets about 10 minutes. We'll take about a 10-minute intermission, a couple of readers in, and then if we have a little bit of time after, we'll have a cute little reception as we kind of were already doing, continue those vibes and chat and hang. We have to be out of here by 9:30, so I'm gonna kick y'all out, okay? About 9:10, like, hey, knock knock, it's time to go. But yes, 10 minutes to each reader, and I will introduce each of our incredible, lovely readers, most of which, if not all, are previous contributors. First up, we have Christian Bancroft. Christian Bancroft received his PhD from the University of Houston and is the recipient of a Missioner Fellowship. He is the author of the poetry collection A Ghost Has No Fantasies, a book of scholarship, queering modernist translation, the poetics of race, gender, and queerness, and co-edited collections with Jenny Molberg, Adelaide Crapsey, The Life and Work of an American Master. His work has appeared or is forthcoming in Cinnamon Review, hope I read that correctly, Gulf Coast, the Missouri Review, Petrichor, and Prairie Schooner, among others. Give it up for Christian, y'all.
Thank you so much. I know Dior's tall, but.
No, it's okay, it's picking up actually.
Okay, great. Thanks so much to the Hawthornden, Lauren, thank you so much. Marina, Dior, Foglifter, it's a real honor. And thank you all for coming. This is such a lovely turnout, and I'm so eager to hear everyone read their work. So I'm gonna read, the first thing that I'll read from is just a page from the piece that Foglifter actually published, and I'm very grateful. And it's from my second book project called Plume the Constellations. And the section that I'll be reading is from one of the essays in the book. And the essay catalogs the sort of intersecting histories of cakewalking, minstrelsy, vaudeville, female impersonation, and early drag ball culture, which I've sort of defined as drag ball culture before World War II. So I'm just going to read part of the beginning of that essay, and I'm trying to think if there's anything. No, so the beginning of this is the early drag ball culture section. So it's just sort of talking about some of the earlier forms of drag and how they sort of manifested themselves in the West in particular. Even though the history of drag is closely linked with major forms of American entertainment in the 19th century, the rise of social clubs, rather than trade guilds and secret societies, also played a role in the development of cross-dressing performances, like the one staged by the Paint and Powder Club, Baltimore. Throughout the 19th century, and before the rise of vaudeville, more cross-dressing subcultures began sprouting up in Western European countries. For example, in an 1848 Berlin newspaper, Jacobus X refers to these men from the German Confederation and the Austrian Empire as the woman haters. Over a decade later, in Paris, a scandal known as the Great Sodomy Company gained publicity after soldiers from Napoleon III's army were caught cross-dressing, or what they called doing the Empress. Around the same time in Paris, over 150 men, none of whom were recognized beneath their skirts, assembled for what we would call a drag ball. By 1869, these scattered accounts seemed more like a growing trend as newspapers began remarking on the vogue of men masquerading as women. The first reference to the word drag occurred during the infamous Bolton and Park trial from 1871, when Ernest Bolton and Frederick William Park were charged with frequenting the Strand Theater dressed as women with felonious intent. Letters between Ernest, known as Ernie, and other men were used as court evidence, and in one dated April 13, 1870, a man named Louis wrote to Ernie that the next time the former was in town, he could not go with Ernie in the drag. Although Bolton and Park were found not guilty, the case played a role in the introduction of the 1885 Labouchere Amendment, which made homosexual acts punishable by up to 2 years of hard labor. The Bolton and Park case served as a precursor to Oscar Wilde's trials and revealed common attitudes towards effeminacy 15 years before the Labouchere Amendment. So I'm going to read from my book, A Ghost Has No Fantasies, which came out at the end of January of this year. This book, it's pretty dark, just forewarning, but it's about the genocide of queer people during the Holocaust, predominantly men who were sent to the camps because the Nazis didn't see lesbians as a threat to the Nazi state, and so they didn't. There's a lot of debate among it in scholarly communities, but the Nazis had a chance to ratify the amendment that criminalized homosexuality, to include women, but chose not to because they didn't see women as much of a threat to the sort of Volksgemeinschaft, or the sort of people's state. But anyway, the book catalogs, it sort of goes chronologically, so it starts before the war, well before the war, during the Weimar era, when there was a really sexually liberated culture for queer people in Berlin in particular. And the poems in the book are sourced predominantly from archival information, interviews, memoirs, just any sort of first-hand accounts that I could find of people who were sent to the camps and persecuted. So I'm just going to read 3 poems, and I'm going to go in that kind of chronological fashion. So this first poem takes place just after the Nazis started to really sort of clamp down on homosexuality after 1934. Chess. Gadbeck. I'll name the speaker of the poem, or whose words the poem is sourced from, underneath the title. So this is Gadbeck's. A night of love had an entirely different value back then. A beautiful and blonde Jew walked up to me at Rosenstrasse and asked, "Lass uns Schach spielen?" His hands gestured uncertainly to me, in case I didn't respond affirmatively. In the morning, chez moi, the windowed sunlight watered the grooves of his palms, as though he had rivulets of light coursing through his skin. Suddenly, we heard pounding at the door. He opened it, half-dressed, and was seized by officers I never even saw. This world in which we existed was invisible to everyone else. We existed between worlds. This one is takes place during the sort of the height of the violence that I found in my research that people described, and for lack of a better word, I've called them my torn poems because I've like physically torn them to sort of to call attention not just to the violence that they incurred, but also the violence of sort of using this archival information and bringing it out to the public, so kind of indicting myself in the process. So I'm going to read it as it appears on the page, very fragmented in some parts. Homosexuals found no pity. Anonymous. I myself saw a feminine young man. He forced to dance in front of the SS. His feet and face and his spirit just all like cheesecloth left to the elements before Anne could finish the shoulders and outside with a hanging cut in the face bed. Oh my God, that was so sweet. Okay, last one. So this one is takes place after the war was over, and because homosexuality was still criminalized in Germany until 1969, some of the folks who were sent to the camps and then liberated were then reincarcerated and sent back to prison, and sometimes for years. So this is called They Didn't Want to Hear About It, Heinz Dormer and Uwe. I was released from prison for the last time in 1963. Upon stepping outside, I felt the wind, and I couldn't help but think that I would be in prison again after being imprisoned for years, on and off, and after internment at the camp. This feeling was visceral. I was received by my father back in Berlin. Every time I returned, the city grew more alien from what I knew it to be the last time I was released from prison. My father didn't know why I was in prison, nor in the camps. He thought it was because I was some sort of political dissident. I was, in a way. I would have liked to have told him. Nobody would want to hear about it. They would say, I don't want to hear about that stuff. It's over and done with. It's over for me too. I'll be 93 in September. I was imprisoned for 8.5 years for loving. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was gorgeous. I will also note, and we're perfect on time, actually literally perfect, but I will be in the back. You see me throwing up the peace sign? It's not a peace sign, y'all. It means 2 minutes, okay? But not to Christian, okay? Christian ain't that. Our next reader is DeeSoul Carson. DeeSoul, yes, is a poet, educator, and host of the Word podcast, incredible. A Stanford alum. His work is featured in Poetry, Muzzle Magazine, Agni, and elsewhere. For his work, DeeSoul, oh my gosh, that's crazy. DeeSoul has received a National Endowment for the Arts and a Ruth Lilly and Dorothy Sargent Fellowship from the Poetry Foundation, as well as fellowships from the NYU MFA program, the Watering Hole, and the Sun Valley Writers Conference. His debut full-length, The Laughing Barrel, is forthcoming from Alice James' book in spring 2027. Find more of his work at DeeSoulPoetry.com. Y'all give it up for DeeSoul Carson.
Okay, so you can see that I'm significantly shorter than the last 2 people who came up here. Hello, how's it going, everyone? Good. I work with middle schoolers, so it's always nice to get a verbal response. I'm gonna try to take up too much of your time. I'm just really thankful to be here. This will be my first time being in Foglifter in the upcoming print issue. And so I just want to start with the poem that will be in that issue. It's called The Church Marquee Reads, Jesus is Coming, Look Busy. And it literally was just, I was walking home one day and one of those marquees that you see out of a church had that on there, and I just thought it was extremely funny and good for a poem title. So, the church marquee reads, Jesus is coming, look busy. Maybe, if we can distract him long enough, I can slip behind and tear open Abraham's bosom. Let all the saints come marching out. I mean, even a God must have blind spots, right? Even a deity can be dulled with the right depressive. Try a joke. Knock, knock. What do you call the space between my nightmares and the fear of waking? My mother says, Tuesday. Isn't that funny? Laugh. Laugh. God, please. Laugh. I need to know someone finds this funny. It's spring, and it means the sky is full of our ambition. The window is open. My mother is dying at an unfair rate. She's taking the news so well. The results are coming back. Great. What cruel irony. What undivine machinations. What knife slipping beneath our knowing. I'm doing my best to keep busy. I'm praying the prayers that are supposed to save my beloveds. I'm eating breakfast with what haunts me. There's a shout I've got on hand for a rainy day. I just don't know which one. I believe you best when I have no choice. My faith is riddled with termites. I've got halos from a bargain bin idolatry. Oh Lord, take this cup from me. I'm running out of crimes to commit. I've got so much sin to shoulder, so much grace to earn. Please, I'm not ready to go. If there's a price to pay, I'll put it on layaway. Lord, even you needed 3 days. What hope have I to combat these wages, to earn this living, and give your blood some purpose? Maybe we can tear open a god with a joke. Knock, knock. The space between my waking says spring is full of our dying. What divine knife slipping beneath my beloved's shout? Faith-riddled halos, bargain bin, Lord, this cup running out of crimes. I've got sin on layaway. You need days to combat this living. All right, I'm a big video game guy. Do we have any Bayonetta fans? We aware of who Bayonetta is generally? Okay, well, if you're not aware, just know her original game came out in 2009. She's like a 7-foot tall British witch. She kills angels. She has guns on her heels. Like she's like stomping them out and they're like shooting the angels. It's like the most crazy gaming experience. She's so, well anyway, this poem's about her. Requiem for the Time Witch, after Bayonetta 2009. Oh, most honored bitch. To be so cunt, so fly. Your glamour and gilded pussy rendered me moonstruck, gab and godsmacked. When I played that night in my repressed youth, I swear even the stars sang your sacrilege. Pulled back their wigs to see your pomp and pistol pump spectacle. Spring was a fantasy I had given up on, like prayer, or Jupiter, or the return of that poor little rover on Mars, singing itself lullabies under an airless sky. I wanted to hold your promise of a paradise that could be in the wrong. Wanted a hand that would not rise against me in my hour of need. Good witch, darling mother, in the midnight of my spirit, your magic reached out to kiss me. In other words, who would I be if I didn't know I could fight God and live? In other words, how could I live if I didn't know I could take all the time in the world? If you can't tell from the poem, there's a lot of religious trauma. My father was a deacon, my grandfather was a preacher. Oh, that's in the next poem. Okay, well, no one to go on to that. Is anyone here familiar with cruising? None of you, right, because you're all God's children, but this is the thing about that. Right. There ain't no preachers/bitches in this park no more, yells the man walking through the park. Though the man I've met while cruising and I can't decide which group he's actually screaming about. The plosive striking the nails of our inner eardrums discordantly. We agree both answers are simultaneously true when the man follows up with a hallelujah as he rummages through the park's bins for plastics. He's so right, of course. There's so little of God in this park. So little of the shame I've carried most of my youth. Just a nigga on his knees with a dick in his mouth while another stays wary of strangers stumbling through the night's taut silence. Grandson of a preacher, so often I know better, but tonight I don't want to care. A man looks at me with wanting, and I'm God enough to grant it. Forgive me, Lord. I know what I've done. We can talk about it later. In which the rapture misses Bushwick. It is on this random Friday my mother texts me. Yes, texts me. Though I did not know it was her at first because she is on her 6th Obama phone this year to ask me, yes, me, if the rapture is happening. And I pause to look out my window because the question is so ridiculous. And because I am in the middle of Bushwick where, had the rapture happened and I had not known it, I still wouldn't know. Because what God-fearing person moves to Bushwick? Which my mother must have known because she follows up on her first text with, obviously you're okay, I just saw it happening on the news, which then prompts me to tell my mother, prone to conspiracy, that the rapture is not in fact happening. And you should really evaluate your sources and that if the rapture were happening, I'd be on the first bus to glory, thank you very much. To which my mother, prone to skepticism, asked when the last time I prayed was, at which point I, knowing I have been stumped, ignore the question and instead opt to ask my mother about changing my name legally. At which point she, prone to distraction, tells a long story of my birth. of who I did and didn't belong to, and who I did or didn't or wasn't supposed to know, how I was so small I could fit in the palm of her palm, how the helicopter carried us to another hospital, how even in my puny state she called me DeeSoul after her favorite Autobot Optimus Prime, how yes, of course the name is mine to change, my life is mine to live, yes, while I'm still unraptured, unclaimed by God, go, be what she never could have dreamed, alive past the hour of my birth and onward to oblivion. All right, this is my last one. Thank you all so much. The only context you need to know about this one is that I'm from San Diego. In 2010, there was a big earthquake on Easter Sunday, and I thought Jesus was coming back. That's the context you need. Resurrection Day. The story goes, on the third day, God said, "Psych," and the stone sidestepped the tomb in the dead of morning. Or Jesus went down on a Friday afternoon and by Monday snatched back his living as a bandit does the temple's gold. Or, as my uncle tells it, Lazarus drank dirt and 4 days later the Lord said, "Boy, stop playing, get the fuck up," and decided he wanted to show him how it was done. The story goes, Abraham trusted God enough to raise a knife to his son, and the devotion caught in the Lord's throat as a ram in the bramble. The story goes, for 89 seconds we paused our grace over Easter dinner while the earth made its breathing known. Fearful of being raptured on an empty stomach, I asked Jesus if he could wait to roll back the stone, and the adults laughed. Watching the lampshade sway over the salt and pepper chicken, waiting for a trumpet to blare or a voice to call us home, or, at the very least, for a dish to crash and shatter. The story goes, 4 people died as Jesus conquered death, and that summer I gave my life to Christ. It seems to me that faith functions best when God has something to prove. The saints had it easy. Who wouldn't believe a fleece bone dry despite a downpour, a bush burning and unashed? Miracle is just the word for the correction of what has already gone wrong. All of God's best mercies, remember, came after the disaster had happened. Technicolor promised only after the world was drowned. Rakshak and Benny saved finally in the flames of the furnace. Exodus of the Israelites after decades of bondage. Their deliverance, a ruined city. A boy ready to die, convinced by a quake 200 miles away that there may be a God to blame. Who was to say I was not already miraculous? A dead thing still breathing. A tomb with nothing to show for it. Thank you.
We've been going for DeeSoul, y'all. Incredible. 2 things before I introduce our next person. 1, those poems were great, right? One of them is in the journal over there in the corner. Okay, and 2, I wanted to mention as well, you probably saw one of these surveys on your seat. If you do not get one, let us know. It's a huge help to us for a myriad of reasons. If you fill this out and hand it to me, Marita, Milo, Susanna, anybody, we really, really would appreciate it. Thank you so much. But otherwise, I'm gonna keep this train rolling. Next up, we have Sean Glatch. Sean Glatch is a queer poet and educator in New York City. His work has appeared in Strange Horizons, Ninth Letter, Milk Press, on local TV, and elsewhere. Sean currently runs Writers.com, the oldest writing school on the internet, and Poemaster, a card game for writing poetry. Give it up for Sean, y'all.
Hello, gays and theys. So good to see all of you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Foglifter, so much for having me here. I have 2 poems coming up in the forthcoming online editions, which is all monsters themed. And coincidentally, my thesis was about like faggotry and monsters, so I've got some faggotry and monsters for you. And what's more, these pages printed in a fucked up way, so we're gonna be flipping all around, and we're gonna get into it. So this is my first poem. It's called Ars Monstrorum. Ars Monstrorum, if you're spicy. It's my take on the Ars Poetica. Ars Monstrorum. 1. A poem once sucked my dick like Dracula on Dexedrine. Imagine it, choking the thing that chomps at the wit to change you. 2. A poem once ruined my shirt in stamen and semen. I floated through April stinking of flower and fuck. 3. A poem reads, think a sputtering sewage leak, your ex's stenchy sweat. A poem makes up words like stenchi. 4. Some poems flop their wrists, stand on their tippy toes, meet you with their tender and meek, a kiss on the cheek to say, "Hi, Daddy," but I prefer my poems dominant. Once, a poem stepped on me like it was the Sasquatch playing hopscotch. I said, "Is this poetry, or is this what it means to love a monster?" And the poem growled and hissed, but it's good when poems growl and hiss, or are greased like the kiss you grant to the beast who misses you, then ghosts you. 5. A poem has ghosts. 6. A poem is vulnerable, but in a sexy way. A poem looks hot when it's crying. A poem cries when you least expect it, like on the fire escape smoking joints with a stranger you will come to love, then regret, then write poems about with your dick out. 7. A poem takes its dick out and takes language down past its uvula, gets gaggy with it. It speaks although it is silent, speaks although its mouth is full, swallows past its fill. 8. A poem is a proposition for God sex. If not sex with God, if not a sexed God godding about during sex, which happens sometimes with God. Imagine a poem that guzzles the God out of you and questions whatever remains, that blows its load on your face and stains you with its scent for weeks. 9. Mask or femme, dom or sub, host or travel, a poem will get down on its knees and beg, milky eyes tilted towards God or glory hole. 10. What is the poem begging for? To be nothing other than what it is. This moaning thing with scales and stitches and feathers and leather and teeth. A poem is grateful for your belief. Oh, so we did print the right? I'm so confused there. I hate printers. Next poem. Do y'all know about Mothman?
Yeah.
Yes. Have we all seen that Mothman statue? It's got a great ass. This is a poem about Mothman. It's called Lepidoptera, which is the scientific taxonomy for moths. Lepidoptera. Mothman took my photograph in southern Tennessee, so I fell in love with him. That's what I told myself, anyway, to get through the soundless months when an empty bed was jagged ice, and I needed a body to hold to thaw through. Mothman pointed his camera at me, and I loved his angles, his rule of thirds, the way his camera cleaved my jawline and washed me through with light. I was almost beautiful, almost on fire. Was I bright enough to devour? And he was cryptic behind the camera lens, hirsute with little mysteries. I wanted to be wanted, and he wanted a beam of light to chew through. Still, in picture, my face prostrates itself like a dream. My hair curls into specters of light that the moth in him could devour. What happens to a body when its flame goes out? Tell me how monsters keep warm in the winter, hairless and cold-blooded, rubbing their wings by the ash from a blaze of memories. Mothman gripped my knee on Broadway, and my flesh sparked like a secret. Mothman pulled the light from my body, and I was numb again, huddled around the matchsticks of a flame I couldn't tame. I don't blame Mothman for his hunger, but I set myself on fire to be something with wanting. Now I'm unlit ashes in his memory. I was 19, teetering on the brinks of manhood and monstrosity, and I wondered who Mothman could love more, the boy or the beast. This next poem is a prose poem. It's called Stitches. All you need to know is that the end of one sentence begins the beginning of the next sentence, so they're kind of stitched together at the words. I'm so funny. Okay, Stitches. He told me I wasn't a monster. A monster is a little sound God wraps his lips around. I wrapped my lips around what claimed to make us men. Men would kill for lips like his, thighs like his, the groves of hair fruiting our sweat, and sin acred across his chest. Across his chest, I studied the pockmarks studded like star maps on his skin, his nipple bumps regular, like numbers on a dial. Dial 1 for God, 2 for your mother, 9 for operator. Operator, tell me not to love him. Operator, he holds me and I bloom. Blooming across the city were signs of summer's end, this nip, that hush, and the fleeting leaves floating in last night's rain which guttered along the crosswalks. Across the river, I walked to Jay's. Jaywalking down Bedford, and against the flow of my blood were myths I couldn't yet name, that he was real, that I was beautiful, that I'd never know his night. Nights I dreamed of jumping off his rooftop, days I kissed the man and heard the silent word of God. God says, his word is flesh. Through flesh-tinted glasses, I saw my own manhood, a monster without myth. Myth-soaked, he spoke me into monsterhood. What tender touch we shared, Elysian, abyssal, a croaking, throated howl. How did he, so unromantic, operate? Operator, tell me I'm not a monster. Operator, call me when you get home. So I've got that poem coming up in Foglifter, woo! And I've got this poem coming up as well. It's called M for M, parentheses, Minotaur for Minotaur. Location, near Knossos. 7-foot bull, 3 horns, 2 for holding, seeking similar. No fats, no nips, no phase. Hosting at the center of a torturous maze. You must crave human taste. Your want must take your father's vacant shape. You must not be seeking long-term connections, but you must come back if I ask. I will not help you home. You must deserve my worship, though I will not worship you. You must know that I'm a child of the sun. You must also be a child of the sun. You must also be a monument of polluted love, stained by forbidden touch, but somehow also beautiful, at least enough to slaughter. I will fuck you to the abattoir and back. I will not translate that. I will not show you care, though you may mistake tenderness as care, if not a labyrinthe. I will not be tender. I will not mythologize you, though we may make of touch a mythology. Is there really no bull, no boy, no bull boy or monster man as worthy of wanting as I am? So as you can see, I spent a lot of time on Grindr. I met my boyfriend on there, I'm happily in love, thank you. But we're just gonna keep the theme going. This poem is called No Face Guzzle. No fence, no face, no fags, he says beneath no face. No friends, just benefits. Empty as leafy, no face. He paces the chat room, steely torso ablaze and snarls across the screen. Cold as belief, no face. We maze through dead messages, quick clipped and lazy, swap asks like stats, name, into, age, teeth, so no face. He waves around his monsterhood and begs for caves to prowl, then sees me, a hole to reprieve, no face. We navigate the chat room like sails off starless banks, sparring against a moon-blank sky sheathed and no face. Men who chart loneliness in open waters break. I ask him, how do you eat, sleep, breathe with no face? Everything eats everything to survive, he claims, and blocks me. I twist flowers to read his no face. How am I doing on time? What? That was my time? Okay, love you. Thank you all so much.
Give it up for Sean, give it up for Sean. We love time awareness. And Grindr occasionally. Excellent. I have nothing to plug this time, y'all. It's just me. Next up, we have Monica Kim. Monica Kim is a queer Korean diaspora writer living on Canarsie in Muncie Lenape land, Brooklyn, New York. She is a first reader at Agar magazine and has been part of the Tin House Summer Workshop, Canyon Review Writers Workshop, Paraplus Collective, and The Watering Hole. Her writing has appeared in Show Poetry Journal, Gulf Coast Journal, Honey Literary, among other publications. Give it up for Monica, y'all.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna read 3 poems, and I sort of picked them out a little bit based on theme. They're all kind of praise or odes. So the first poem is called Praise and Sorrow Acrostic, and it's going to be in my poetry collection that's outcoming in October 2028. But it's after 3 Moons of Pyangdo, which is a documentary about 3 Haenyeo women. Haenyeo are women who deep dive in the sea for seafood for a living, have been doing so for centuries. And so the documentary follows 3 sisters who are Haenyeo. Yeah, this is called Praise and Sorrow Acrostic. What else would we do besides Mujil? 3 Moons of Pyangdo. Praise for the sisters putting on rubber suits for each other. Praise for preparing the day's catch with soy sauce and pan-fried onions. Praise for the poricha drunk before heading out to water. Sorrow for the hard days before rubber suits and fins. Praise for the auntie who called, asking for the first octopus they catch. Praise for BB cream and medicine taken before the dive. Praise for the sister tying together rubber ripped from her sister's wetsuit. Sorrow for no more days off, for less fish. Praise for asking each other if anywhere hurts. Praise for the sister taking out a sea urchin splinter from her sister's hand. Praise for the sisters taking off rubber suits for each other. Sorrow for hardships and wujud and monsoons. Praise for bagging and weighing green sea fingers and sea urchins together. Praise for the sister asking her sister to put bags of catch in the fridge. Praise for the sister feeding sea urchin to her sister, insisting she eats the rest. Sorrow for strange jellyfish and sea, changing weather, elongating seaweed. Praise for hanging rubber suits up to dry on the clothesline. Praise for cracking open and scooping out sea urchins together. Praise for their mother who taught them wujud and her mother before her. Sorrow for their mother who can no longer dive. Praise for taking the ferry from Pyangdo to Jeju-do together, bags of harvest in hand. Praise for the mural of Haenyeo on the building across from home. Praise for cleaning abalone together. Sorrow, what's the point of owning Pyangdo land? We should just be content looking at it. Praise for cooking octopus they harvested together. Praise for trying to dive for as long as possible. Praise for the sisters' common destiny. If one catches less, the other gives more. Sorrow for bleaching and over-harvesting of the seas. Praise for being Haenyeo. Praise for the mother's teachings. Praise for pushing strollers and nets and tewak and fins together to water. Sorrow for neglect. If Haenyeo were to drown, no one would rescue her. Praise for diving under the ocean together to catch green sea fingers. Praise for deshelling top shells together in bowls using sewing needles. Praise for getting older together. Sorrow for how you almost used to freeze to death, staying out for 5 hours. Praise, life begins at 60. Praise for the son that buys his mother and auntie's catch, eating together before mujib. Praise for sitting together on rocks, looking out into ocean. Sorrow for the uncertainty of ocean, for sickness as they grow older. Praise for promising to do mujib together always. I got nervous and forgot to do like a thank you at the beginning, so thank you to Foglifter for hosting this reading.
And I'm so excited to be part of it and to hear from the amazing writers who already went and for the rest of the evening. So thank you. My second poem is called An Ode to My Nails for its 20th anniversary year. And My Nails is the name of the nail salon that my mom works at. And she's been working there since 2005. So last year was its 20th anniversary year. So this is also an ode to all the nail techs out there. An ode to my nails for its 20th anniversary year. For the brown faux leather waiting chair with a rip in the middle, where I read new and old copies of Us, People Magazine, Allure, front to back and over again, where I had my first friendship breakup after a white mother called me to demand I apologize to her twin daughters, and meanwhile, my mother attended to a daughter's manicure, where I watched Titanic for the first time, staring at Kate Winslet, wondering why I kept staring so much, watching on an open pedicure chair as she was drawn and the ship sunk on a slow Saturday night, waiting for closing time, where I brought nail polishes back to the shelves like greeted customers, where I wrote fanfic for the first time, where I did my homework after school on the days there was no babysitter, before I was old enough to stay home alone, where I begged my mother for mani-pedis, where she said no, where she waxed my legs and eyebrows for the first time, where the smell of cup ramyeon and tamales was confined to the staff room with one table and 3 chairs, where the smell of acetone and nail gel kissed you at the door and lingered on my mother's burgundy apron after work, counting her cash tips crouched on the kitchen floor, where I'd fold and bring warm hand towels to nail techs, where they smiled as they said hello, for the ajumas and the tias who slipped me dollar bills when my mother wasn't looking, asking about my day, exclaiming how much I'd grown over the years, in the carpools my mother drove after work, just after sunset, for the customers who remembered my name and wrote me Christmas and birthday cards, for the other businesses in that strip mall that are now closed, the Chinese buffet we'd sometimes get lunch from, the Radio Shack a few doors over, the Subway that became a muscle maker grill, for the Saturday morning openings flipping over the closed sign, for the updated holiday hours signs my mother would ask me to check for grammatical errors, for the slow days, the busy days, the in-between, for that second desk from the left that is still my mother's, where I would watch her bent head, smiling and talking to our customers, to the ajumas, to the tias, where she would watch me in the brown chair or walking from the back to the front where I grew up. The last poem that I'm going to read is going to be in Foglifter's upcoming issue. And it's called Ode to Bastardizing English. And so the way I wrote it is that it reads from top to bottom after the writing tradition of Korea first, and then from right to left after Marwa Halal's formed the Arabic. And this is for my partner, Amy. Ode to Bastardizing English. Amy tells me there is no P sound in Arabic, so we begin to replace every P for B in our conversations, starting with sleeve. I hope you sleep well. I hope you sleep deep. I fall asleep to the sound of their snores. We fell in love in English, but learned to love through Arabic and Hangul. I call them my Egi, my Tubu. They call me Habibti with a pout. When I rub her shoulders, she says shukran, and I learn to respond with the lafwan. This is how we grew up speaking. 1 foot in the colonizer's language, a couple toes in ancestral tongues. We play with English, bastardize it. Sandwich becomes sandwich, high becomes hoy, glad becomes glad. I could list more, but I'd like to gatekeep our language. I love the untranslatability of certain words, smala, chinguro. I love the untranslatability of our love. Border crossers, migrant tongues, queer celestials, I love. Thank you.
Monica, you make me emotional. I'm spicy. That was fine a little bit. Not too much, girl. Not too much. All right. right, y'all, we're gonna take our intermission. It's gonna be about 5 to 7 minutes. We have some celebratory queer cake. It's queer. We have some celebratory queer wine. It's gay. Please, I'll call you back in a little bit, but please mingle, be merry, and I'll call you back in about 5 to 7 minutes. All right, thank you. Please eat, drink, and be merry. We'll have some time afterwards as well. How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling? Alright, thank you. Y'all awake. Okay, cool. We're gonna get back in. We have about 4 or so more readers. Then once again, we'll have a cute little reception time. So don't worry. Don't worry. My boss, my managing editor was yelling at me, y'all. Okay, but they wanted me to mention, don't forget that our journals are on sale for 15 smackaroonies over there in the corner with Marina. They're very lovely, I promise. And I mean, this cover is one of my favorites, I must admit. So please check it out. You've heard many of our folks already who were in the journal, as well as our online exclusive, which is a fairly new initiative that was started and really led by Marina. It's beautiful. It's genuinely beautiful. Check it out at foglifterpress.com. All right. We're going to continue. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have B. Mossotti. Assistant editor B. Mossotti is a queer NB writer and poet from Wisconsin. Now living in Brooklyn, New York, they are a Fall 2025 Brooklyn Poets Fellow. They are a poetry reader for the Adriot Journal. They received their BA in Creative Writing and Gender and Women's Studies from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where they were a poetry editor for the Madison Review. Give it up for B, y'all.
Thank you everyone, hello. This space is so beautiful, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Foglifter. I'm gonna start with a poem. Let me time myself, because I did not do that earlier today. I should have done it on the train that I was on for an hour.
Oh, God. Thank you.
Yes. Not your fault. Blame the queue. Okay. This first poem was in the last issue of Foglifter, also my first publication. Very cool and very beautiful. And it's also about my name. This is called Name Myth. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Because I wanted to be beautiful, benevolent, I blew away the vowels of my name. My body needed erasure. Benign was my original ending, masculine beyond the truth of my masculinity. With erasure being my survival, I bestowed the letter of breaths, of breasts, binoculars, butterflies halved by the severing of my gender. Enough I had with each introduction incised by the tightening teeth to tongue. Soft to taste, I turned malleable, intangible, unreckonable. In my return to matrilineage, I bowed my body to my mother's name. Once besieged by the masculine necessity of violence, my name was a weapon. Wet, welted consonants wielded by my tongue. My mother was always told she chose the most masculine names for her children. Zachary, Wyatt, Brett. I never knew the man I was taught to be. To be, I had to unbe, to undo, to redo. I knelt myself to the guillotine of gender. Held by the neck to the audience of my entire life, I was not fearful of the blade, of the pain of incision. Laid down by my nape, I named myself. And as the rope released, I was free. My voice, bestricken, escaped the violence. My name, a verb, the possibility of the verb. My name always ending with the mouth left open. Right, so I'm gonna do this older poem that I wrote in undergrad. It's a little bit different from the stuff I write now, but also it's cute and it's fun. And it's for my father, and his birthday was the other day, and he's not here on this earth anymore, and so I have to do some sort of celebration for a man that I don't talk to. Cool. This one is called We Had Barbecue, Sweet and Sour Sauce, Mozzarella, Pepperoni, Ground Beef. Sometimes we had sausage, crispy bacon, and then we had spinach, artichokes, mushrooms, diced green peppers, chicken. I can smell all of it. February is not my month. I hate winter in Minnesota. My friend and I watched nature documentaries doing nothing. We had nothing except sitting around at school. I lived in a room where I could touch both walls at the same time. I made take and bakes at Papa Murphy's. I ran that shit, and then I quit. I wanted to be that girl, impressive, obnoxious. I left that lane in that village between a highway and an abortion clinic. Is the man across the street still holding up snow or sleet? That sign with the baby beheaded. Fireworks from the baseball stadium go off in my mind like that yellow lab barking. He's dead now. All day, my dad sat at home having lost his job and himself, hunting for food on the seafloor, camouflaged. An octopus has, I'm sorry, I don't remember, 3 hearts, 9 brains, 2/3 of its vast knowledge spread through its 8 tentacles. I can't do this anymore. I can't take care of you. I have 1 heart, and that was a long time ago. Okay. This one is a new piece that I wrote for my friend, who is a fashionista everything. She went to FIT, and we also went to college together. And she has this gown that she made. She does like a lot of like wedding stuff, millinery. She does these crazy hats. I love her. She's everything. But she has this gown that she made based off of the giant devil's flower mantis, which you can look up. It's called Idolomantis diabolica. It's like the biggest mantis, praying mantis in the world, whatever. She's a diva. You should look her up. She's cool. She's amazing. And the poem, this was just for like a fun little project, but it looks like this, which is what the actual mantis looks like in the entomology poster. Very cute. But I saw her gown and I was like, I need to write about this, which is lovely. So this is for my friend Eden Milo. Before I opened my wings to the wind, I wore my flesh like a gown. Who was I to be named Diabolica? He who made my name a mirror, a dimorphism refracted like sunlight through the sycamore. That foolish tool of separation. Lifted, my forest molted to roses. My roses shed themselves to silks draped as fear. You created this fear. Sir Uvarov, you. Your insatiable hunger for making history work in your favor. For you I opened, I made myself a flower. My mimesis moves on a floral frequency felt by both my predators and my prey. No, there are no prayers for me. No prayer for this diabolic, but let me be the devil you kneel to. The feminine diabolica. Diabolical femme. Let me be gorgeous like trellises bound by wisteria vines. Let me remain in this dress, its rhythmic fabric strung to play my song only desire can hear. Can you hear it? Once I was framed in your entomology, posed, statured. You took my vertebrae to devilize me, portraitize me. Audacity. Audacity in the form of infatuation. And who were you to name me? When I am the one who wears this gown, I who made my weapon, my will to this world. Thank you. 3 minutes, maybe?
You're right.
Oh,
Yeah.
Not so much. Okay. Oh, jeez. Okay, I think I'm gonna do... Yeah, okay, I think these are 2 shorter ones that I can do. This one is new.
You should.
I wrote it like today, yeah! Okay, it's called There Was a Love. There was a love, like how the hummingbird's beak is long enough for the flower's body. Scientific, logical. But as the world in all of its heat, contaminated these revelations. We were lied to. That all this love could guide a future, change the axis. A future with lemon trees in bloom and willow branches bent up. And we believed, yes, despite these lies. We wanted so much, we never stopped to look at each other. Like reflection pools your eyes contained. Some visions, some refractions. The hummingbird flew, drank from both the flowers and the pools. I let her drink peacefully. Even when it meant giving away parts of my life. What I thought was made to sustain me had a mouth so long it destroyed my reflection, my sight, my flowers. This is actually a double sonnet that I wrote in my course at Brooklyn Poets last fall. Very fun, very awesome. I took a course called The Sonnet is Trans, and it is very trans. So this is a double sonnet. The first title is Fetish, and the other one is Anti-Fetish. Seen at last, I am still unseen. I am projected into a mirror, broken only by the breakage of my body. Like twigs or glacial ice, I found myself split and splintered. Men want me to be theirs, all the reasons wrong, the reasons I keep in shame. Shame is a room I exit and return to, each hour of my shame my own. Shame is my body unwound. What is it they found? Before I put the skirt on, I felt so womanly, so woman. I kept myself close to victimhood, kept myself returning like I had written this stanza, this body, this desire. Anti-fetish. This desire, this body, this stanza, I hadn't written the returning. Like victimhood, I kept myself close. Myself felt so woman. I, so womanly, put the skirt on before they could find me, my body unwound. What is in this shame? I own each shame, an hour returned to and exited. In a room of shame, I keep all the reasons, wrong reasons. I keep the men, their split and splintered want of me. I find myself like twigs or glacial ice. Only by breakage can my body be projected broken. Into a mirror, I am seen. At last, I am seen. I am. Thank you, everyone.
Give it up for Dee. Y'all hear that silence? Yes, please fill it out. I'm so serious. It helps us so much. It's our demographic survey. If you don't have one, I'll give you one. All right. Next up, we have Magenta Naaku. Magenta Naaku is a Black queer writer, poet, performance artist, and educator from Brooklyn, New York. Their work explores myth-making, identity, and the fluid realities of Black femmes. They have published creative nonfiction and poetry in journals like Foglifter Journal, who's that? And lead literary workshops. Give it up for Magenta, y'all.
Hi, everyone. Hi. Thank you so much, Hawthornden and Foglifter, for having this event and for inviting me to read. I'm going to read some excerpts from my essay that is in Le Journal.
Yeah.
It's called Ode to Ice for Frozen Black Femmes with Flames on Their Tongues. Crush. I love the way ice crashes against my teeth. An avalanche seeps into my mouth with every chew. Shards of edible glass liquefy before it can cut my throat. It is dangerous. It is delicious. And it doesn't kill me, it calms me. Snow comes from the clouds. That means it's natural, right? Even better, organic. Celestial water turned frosty. A ritual. On the first snow every year, before it hardens, before it dirties, I scoop a handful and take a bite. Star matter dissolves onto my tongue. The cloud candy embodies me like internal armor for the winter. I can glow in the dark. I can make it through the cold. Ice cools me down. It soothes the warring emotions inside of me, the fiery intensity of my thoughts and feelings. Ice reminds me that water can be solid and filled with boundaries, and emotions can run cold. If you're my friend and you chew ice, I've happily joined you. I felt comfort in partaking in this weird but joyous act. We have the same crush, and it's better for us to lust over them together. In unison, we smash our teeth against crumbs of glaciers, sucked on slivers of icebergs till they disappeared, and there was nothing to be guilty of. We don't discuss what we do, we just do it. As natural as slipping our bras off through the arms of our house shirts to let our titties sway under a parachute. So casual a comfort, we don't think twice. Even if we're having an intimate, hilarious, or vulnerable conversation, we'd fall silent together and listen to the music of ice crystals crashing on our tongues. Intimacy is letting your strangest urges unfurl in the arms of another, then learning they share the same peculiar habits as you. Freeze. I discovered that several Black AFABs are anemic, not just me. Symptoms include, but are not limited to, waves of exhaustion and weakness, lightheadedness, heavy, long as fuck periods, shortness of breath, hair loss and brittle nails. All my life, whenever I fulfilled my yearly doctor's visits, they all informed me that I'm anemic, but they never explained what that means and they never expressed concern. They treated it like another descriptor of who I am, of how I fit within the scope of being a young Black AFAB. Growing up, my doctors were always, however, very concerned about whether or not I was having sex. As soon as my period came, when I was only 10, my primary doctor added the sexual activity question to the checkboard. When I began seeing a gynecologist a few years later, she also asked if anyone besides her and myself had been between my legs. She even went so far as to tell my mother to step out the room so she could speak to me alone, suspecting I wouldn't tell the truth about my non-existent sex life with my mom present. No, I repeated, I haven't started having sex. I was asked about sex every time I went to the doctor, like they were waiting for this answer to change as my teenagehood ripened. I can only suspect it's because I'm Black and from the hood, and there were so many statistics of Black poor femmes facing teenage pregnancy. Meanwhile, I didn't even fully know what sex meant. And if public school did a better job of teaching me about consent and my body, I would have realized that it's true, I hadn't had sex, but I was definitely assaulted. My doctors seemed more pressed about whether my pussy was in these streets than the fact that my body was slowly deteriorating from low iron. They did not care about my reproductive organs, my other reproductive organs, just my pussy. How do I know? Because they didn't catch the tumors in my womb until they were fully formed, giant chicken nuggets with googly eyes and full personalities like the McDonald's mascot. Or a tray of ice cubes chilling in my freezer of a womb. I was never warned that I could develop fibroids, even though Black AFAB people are at the highest risk of getting it. Instead, I was warned about all the STIs I could catch and the baby I could have before going to college if I wasn't careful. It wasn't until I saw a mouth specialist a few years ago for the mysterious salivary stones in my jaw. The doctor urged me to take serious action about my low iron and anemia. She was a Black woman. I wonder if anemia has anything to do with systemic racism, misogynoir, and slavery. The consistent trauma, abuse, and malnutrition our ancestors faced could have led to this insidious generational side effect. Blood that's missing something. Blood that urges us to do weird, unusual things just to give our bodies some semblance of peace. I wonder if our disturbing history contributes to fibroids and other womb disorders that give some of us abnormally long and heavy periods. Our bodies don't know when to stop bleeding because our wombs are still in survival mode, still haunted by the phantoms of rape and unwanted pregnancies. I wonder too if anemia and womb illnesses erupt from Black girl childhood traumas. Does experiencing shock, molestation, incest, or abuse at such young, tender ages alter the shape of our blood? Anemia also has this wild side effect, pica, the compulsion to eat foods with no nutritional value, like dirt, clay, and ice. Fuck! I'm ready to blame my ice-eating habit on the dangers of patriarchy, white supremacy, and misogynoir, but then Google tells me that chewing ice isn't always about anemia. The act of grinding ice on teeth can be a way of self-soothing or relieving stress, taking the edge off by eating something full of hard edges. I speculate how my ancestors, both the ones who were stolen from us and forced on ships, and the ones who betrayed their kin and facilitated the selling, self-soothed themselves. Was there something potent enough to take the edge off of enslavement, to help them sleep soundly without nightmares of lynched loved ones and kidnapped kin? Was there something to numb the guilt the betraying ancestors felt for abandoning their kin? Something to mellow their heartbeats and stop the goosebumps from raising to their flesh? Maybe their residue passed down to us. Could pica be our outlet, a method of channeling their anxieties and fears through and out of our bodies? Their way of signaling to us that they were missing something, that we are still missing something. Vengeance, reparations, blood. Will the last Black ice eater in the world release them and finally let their souls rest? Is the water melting in our bodies, building an ocean for them to swim in on the other side? Smash. I perform an Afrofuturism storytelling piece at an artist salon showcase in Brooklyn. The theme for the salon is Good Trouble, art that interrogates systemic oppression, asks us to dream into solutions and inclusive, expansive futures, and uplifts the notion that trouble can be a tool for activism, solidarity, and community building. The final performance of the night is by Marissa Gutierrez Vicario, a Mexican-American artist and activist. Her offering, a piñata in the shape of a bottle of ice. The bottle mimics the red and white design of Smirnoff ice. Written in between slices of lime and lemon is resist in perfectly pretty script. Marissa explains that the piñata represents ice, not the frosty friend symbolizing pleasure, relief, and transmutation, nor the omen hinting possible vitamin deficiency, but the evil ice, the one that bangs down apartment doors and ambushes people at work and stores before separating them from their families and deporting them to other countries. Earlier in the evening before her demonstration, Marissa asks the guests to write down words and phrases envisioning a world without ice. Ice was born into existence within our lifetime. We can remember a time period where ice didn't exist. Marissa writes in her performance description, sometime during the event, she slips the papers into the piñata where it joins a sea of patient, vibrant butterflies. It is now time for Marissa to smash ice. The room is quiet except for her silken voice, tilting upward at the edges like feathers dancing in the air. Ice is suspended above her from a thick string. Marissa strikes ice with a white bat adorned in strips of yellow paper. I love when femmes hold bats. I do. When we arch our backs and bend our knees wide, preparing to hit something with the force of our spines, shoulders, palms, anger, annoyance, frustration. Marissa's hit makes a dent in the bottle's ribcage. The room chants, "Smash ice," as she moves. Marissa strikes again, and this time the piñata simultaneously swings back and forth and swirls in a spiral. On the third and final blow, the piñata is dizzy and stupefied, yet still holding on tight to the string. Oh, okay, I'm gonna end here. Thank you so much.
Give it up for Magenta, y'all. How we doing? We hanging in there? You good? Okay, cool. Next up, we have A.T. Steele. A.T. Steele is a literary artist born and raised in New York City. He devised his upbringing of Bronx homeless shelters, Harlem ghettos, Brooklyn Brownsville projects, and the Manhattan piers of yesteryear to write literary fiction that often centers on the lives of ethnic inner city characters. He resides in Queens, New York. Connect with him on Instagram at Old Xanadu. Welcome, A.T. y'all.
Very nervous, please bear with me. I've never read my work for an audience before. This is an excerpt from a short story titled Honey Buns and Cream Soda in the Stairwell, which originally appeared in Narrative Magazine, where it won the 2025 Narrative Prize. You can find it there in Stories of the Week, June 2025. It's told from the POV of teenage castaway Alma Castillo during the summer of 1991. Following a day in her life from a hopeful start to a careless assault and the fallout of her unhealthy and self-destructive coping mechanisms. This represents the first 2,000 of 12,000 words. I hope that it will inspire you to find the rest of the story. The city shimmered in summertime like gemstone jewelry under a relentless sun whose light sanctified the trash-filled streets and crumbling buildings. Deep in the ghetto, vacant, overgrown lots that had been marked for development for decades became breeding grounds for cultural rot, and people lived and died in the rubble of apartments that were older than municipal codes. In Harlem in 1991, gold was the color of summer, and it peaked in the morning when the light was still stark and directional. Then, everyone who lived there could forget for a while that the waters of the river were rising, people were dying, and the city hated them. In a remote community park within the sprawling courtyard of colossal tenements where children chased each other around rusted playground equipment, teenage boys played basketball in the half-court, and girls gossiped in chew bubblegum and steel bleachers. One lonely castaway rested on a picnic bench under the shade of a massive cavalry pair. Lit by the golden glow of the season that simmered the city like fire, she was magnetic and romantic. Because it was so early, the sun reached through the canopy to make her proud peanut butter skin dazzle. There was a small garden in that grassy oasis, tended by urban saints where only marigolds grew, stark yellow and green like the spirit of summer. She picked one and put it in her hair because she thought that it looked pretty. It was going to be a wonderful day after all, and looking pretty was a necessity. When one of the boys on the court met her tenacious gaze and fumbled over himself like a fool, the tone was set, and her wide and vicious mouth blossomed into a savage smile. "Yo, Alma," someone approached from behind. Chase was the only person who would find her there, so she didn't have to look to know that it was him. She did anyway, though, to be sure, because the light was so flattering that morning that she thought that a pretty-faced boy like him must have been a sight. He was, but she didn't have to inflate his ego by telling him that. "Hey, Chase." He climbed up onto the table, and she climbed down to put some space between them. She looked up at him and used her hand as a visor against the sun. He stood, and even though she couldn't see his grin because of the light that haloed him, she could feel it. "Do you know what today is?" he asked. "Thursday?" He shook his head. A cool summer breeze fluttered the marigolds in her wild curls. She had to move them from her face lest they got in her eyes. "Baby Friday?" "No." She pulled on one of the legs of her shorts, which had begun to ride up her thigh because of the sticky heat, and stepped backward until her high-top sneakers flattened the grass around the flower patch. She didn't have to guess again. He stretched out his arms and exclaimed so that his voice would echo across the park. "It's only another beautiful day in a city of dreams." Then he leaped off the table and landed in a heap so close to her that she had to fumble away to avoid bumping into him. You're bugging. Chase dusted himself off, adjusted his beat-up gray beret, and led them down a path that would take them out onto the street. You're bugging, she repeated, gently. Before the court was out of sight, she looked to make sure that the awkward boy saw her leave, to flash him another smile and grow giddy in his disappointment. When she went on, she was bouncing a little. If this is a city of dreams, then how do I make mine come true? Chase squinted those brown-black eyes with the thick, long lashes, because God hated girls and gave boys all the things that they envied, and licked his pillowy lips. The golden romance of it, because the morning light, made Alma sick, and if she hadn't been waiting on him to say something, she would have slapped his face. Thinking it was almost as satisfying. I think you got to live downtown near Central Park to be in a dream, or in one of those apartments in the sky where you can see the Statue of Liberty from the window. Otherwise, you're just down here with us, jumping the subway and eating bagels out of the trash. That made sense to her, even though she hadn't eaten anything out of the garbage in a long time. Neither had he, she thought, because, like her, he had a place now that he could go when he felt like he wanted to go home. What's that? He reached for the flower in her hair, but she pulled away and covetously patted the myriad petals. It's just a thing. He kept reaching, and she kept moving, until he got too close, and she punched him in the sternum. Surprised and briefly winded, he rubbed his chest, then leaped forward and shoved her across the sidewalk. She flew like a cotton doll and rolled into a parked car. A man on the street gasped and scolded Chase. You're one mean cat, one real mean cat, he said, but didn't intervene and just sort of danced away with that special rhythm in his step that all people born at a certain time seem to have. She climbed to her feet and thought about fighting him, but decided not to because she didn't want to dirty her clothes or muss her hair. When he helped dust her off and fix her shirt, she forgave him and stopped herself from biting his face. Alma was a regular girl to most people, but Chase had seen her penis and knew better. To him, she was much more than either sex. They got rough sometimes, the way that boys got rough, but could be sweet too, like girls, because she was a girl, after all, with a few extra quirks. It wasn't her fault that God and the devil had gotten things mixed up. Because intersexual appearances mattered to girls like her, he produced 2 pieces of soft caramel candy as an appeasement, one for him and one for her. She took and ate them both, which left him sorry and sore. But he couldn't let that be known and put his hands in his pockets instead. Alma met Chase in the LGBT Youth Center in Manhattan last winter while on a desperate search for other girls who didn't fit into society's neatly gendered boxes. They were drawn together because they recognized in each other a density of life that exceeded that in people twice their age and left marks where none should have been. Even if they didn't speak about the chaos and violence of life in the streets because the memories were too traumatic, they bonded over them in a spiritual way and became inseparable. Their whirlwind friendship began with such, Jesus Christ, I'm so sorry. I'm very nervous. Thank you. Their whirlwind friendship began with shy glances and coy grins that turned into smiles and then laughter so joyous and pure that made them want to cry. And they did that too, in secret, buried in each other's arms in a bathroom stall because they had felt hidden for so long and knew that the feeling had finally passed. 8 months later, they were the best of friends, and the worst too, because he encouraged the devil in her, which was always waiting for an excuse to come out and play. They went off into the summer morning with authority and purpose that made it seem like they had anything at all to do, but they didn't, and sought instead to create something worth the day. Idling sweetly on the broad sidewalks of Lenox Avenue, in front of bustling restaurants and austere theaters playing films that neither of them recognized, they met with other wanderers to gossip and trade the morning news. In the shaded vestibules of collapsing buildings where haunted teenagers bounced loaded dice off of cardboard boxes, and at the bases of lampposts outside grocery stores where girls licked bomb pops and glowered at passersby, they found the fringe people who were wild and deranged enough for them to cherish. Their conversations were an urgent and necessary respite from the overworld, where the most exciting things to happen were bodega fights and sweaty idols dancing in the street. Their quiet acts of rebellion, like sitting on the curb to terrorize residents and talking about sex and drugs, made them feel real, even if they were just as boring and ordinary. While Chase talked sweet with pretend coy girls who covered their mouths when they laughed, Alma went into a small store to daydream about all the things that she couldn't buy. Inside was lonely and quiet, except for the hum of the air conditioner and the faint chatter from a small radio behind the counter. She had a date. That's what she settled on calling it, at least, with the awkward boy from the park, Dragan, who was 2 years her senior and not so awkward when she wasn't around. Girls fawned over him and boys wanted to be him. He dominated his peers on the court and was mean and boastful about it. While he pushed others around and made crude, emasculating jokes, she watched and wondered how anyone could be that attractive and that appalling at the same time. The combination appealed to her in confusing ways that reminded her of the wretched men that Mom brought home after Dad died. Those dark and brutal beasts treated her sister like a princess. That incredible meanness would turn into something gentle and sweet, and her sister would gobble it up. It was enviable, because that same sweetness was never given to Alma, replaced instead with a tacit kind of masculine truce that made no sense at all to a 10-year-old boy. In some subconscious way, she looked for that darkness in other boys, because she wanted to be the person that they were sweet to feel special and powerful like her sister. This was a big deal, because even though Tragan hadn't used the word, it felt like a date. Her first date. The decision to treat it like one made her excitement reach pathological levels. There was no telling Chase about it either, because he was too crass, and telling him might somehow jinx it. She had been used and discarded by boys that preyed on her desperate desire for affection before, and by men that leveraged her need for food and shelter from the cold night against the most debased things. And Chase never let her forget it. Being an object was exhausting work, and she prayed to God and her guardian angels that things would go well for her, just this once, if never before or ever again. Thank you.
Can we give an extra round of applause for a first time on Foggy Glatch? Thank you for sharing that with us. I'm so honored. And also, can you give it up to y'all for looking this good? Why do y'all look so good? I'm serious. I was a little nervous earlier, like, damn. Cool. I'm trying. All right, next up, we have Disha Trivedi. Yeah. Disha is from Northern California and is training in medicine in New York City. Find their work in Foglifter, Luna Luna Magazine, Passages North, Strange Hymnal, and elsewhere. You can also find them at Petri Disha on Instagram and Substack. Let's give it up for Disha.
It is so intimidating to go after y'all. But I'm also very inspired. I've had such a dry spell of reading and writing, and now I want to go back and make some shit. So I hope everyone can go back and do that too. And if you want to start somewhere, maybe go buy the Foglifter issue. It sounds like everyone's got some really good books in there. This was sponsored by Foglifter. Thank you for having all of us. I'm going to read the piece that I actually have in the issue over there. Genderqueer Ars Poetica. Baby, it's Venus in retrograde and we should make a baby. The price of eggs makes the urge to break eggs that much stronger. And I'm not even making us omelets. I just want yolk on the floor. I never get space to be that dramatic. My family's not one to waste food or feed us, so when I see you leave the leaves on your plate, I floss my teeth with the stems, steam the spoon where spit pressed, take every last rind. When my mother tried to have me, she lost the first baby. Spent hours after watching Tom and Jerry chase each other like lovers in her white gown in the house with sun and dust for a roof. Now, when I visit, I practice the labels, the vowels that mimic the pigeons that press through the windows, the thrown open doors. Nobody walks this house but me and the birds and the fungus from the kitchen where my mother once bathed me in a bucket. Now the bedding lifts clouds when I lie down and exhale. Baby, I will take you if you want to see the pictures on the walls, the stained glass, the dust. Circle the image of me as baby and wonder what word was my first. Not mother. Baby, how is it that I can be both mama and baby in the words you put on me? Like a dress. I'm not one for dresses unless you ask me in Hindi and eat all your leaves as I watch, and you watch me with the eyes that you use to eat me. You ask in just vowels. You practice vowels with an app. I have apps for finances and planets and placing calls to my mother over 2 oceans. I have vowels I should place on my tongue like little white pills. Let's kiss to practice 6 ways to say A in the language that split her legs to create me. I created her back. You lap her up from an app. I lap her up from an egg on the ground. And the movies, the pigeons, the home that conceived me, and my mother, when she fails to translate a joke into this mousetrap of a tongue that I tongue as it snaps. So I'm just gonna read a couple more, I'll say love poems. They're all love poems, even the ones that are anger poems. And they are from a collection that I am revising whenever I can. When I was a girl, I was better. I knew only one flower. I knew only one beauty, the first. Mother, lashes like a cartoon moon's, thighs that have known endings. Before I sewed up skin, I sewed gardens for her placemats. Pillowcases too. There was a quiet in me. I wanted to fill it with petals. Practice drawing roses with 3 marks. Practice painting roses like hers. Tried to graft her plants together. Red bud taped to yellow. Fell off brown like I was. I was better then, all crescent. Nisa's story revised many times over. Just as bloody. All right, this is a new poem.
New shit.
American Carnage. As if the wars don't end. The wolves aren't eradicated from the face of America. America has a face, and it isn't pale. America has a name, and it isn't America. It isn't the same shape, the same shames. There's a world where the wolves and the men are born the same color, stalk the same woods. The witches don't burn. They walk with hands open, hems made of embers. The old trees are still standing, wide and thick like hearts. The problem with fear in a body is that it makes the body a grave. The problem with fear in a country is that it makes the country a body that only births graves. Love story in question. If I'm sad at night and can't stop crying, do you want me to wake you up? By which I mean, is it okay to wake you up? By which I mean, I want to ask forgiveness, not permission. If I'm tired in a few years and we're still together and I can't fathom giving up my body to host another creature's body, can we not have children? By which I mean, can I be honest, not resentful? If I'm sick, and I help myself when I'm sick, but I want someone near to put a cool cloth on my eyelids, can I call you? Can I bring you here at risk of chafe? If I'm struggling with English and summon words from childhood, or if I'm struggling with language because my native tongue is thinking, is it okay to go quiet? To risk you thinking that you've done some wrong? Or would you rather that I try explaining? By which I mean, I will frame a question with another question. By which I mean, I'll ask us something that strands a larger something. I won't make sense as much as we desire. By which I mean, I hope you still desire me by the question's ending. All right. Just have 2 more, and this one is in honor of my home state of California. Big Basin, California. After the fire, I grow up, or at least flex intelligence, no longer hide it, tell Venus to fuck off, make pretty bleed for me. I'm good at desire, I study the insides, pound the ash door between the living and dying, cut from it my own name. Take home who I loved and wanted to love me. Bring back the trees I tripped through when my feet were small, like a penny. And the creek was cold and coppery and we waited for gold like it's promised. I looked up at the world's oldest trees to burn up. And I know that portals don't exist. I can't rewrite the line between living and dying, no matter the years, the incisions, the flat lines, the little white pills, no matter the roses dried up at bedsides. no matter, somewhere, the ashes of the trees don't surrender. Y'all, I'm so sorry for ending on a sad note. I'm like, why are these all sad poems? But here's one more love poem to round it up with some, hopefully, happy sads. Cosmos. If I imagine a future full of the worst, then no one I love will die on me again. That's why I put you out like a dog in the rain. We don't have a dog as a daughter. If we did, I wouldn't put her out in the rain. The only bitch that bites in our house is my mouth, and I wish your mouth bit back. Well, you do. I want more. I wanted you for the first time when I saw you in the future, what you'd be like as parent, one who can hold an egg softly and crack it splat in the pan. I feed on this future till it hollows. I want more. I want ribs yanked from skin. I need crescents but subtle for bone blue, which is silver of moon dripped down from between clouds that will part around you to stop you from dripping out on the porch where I put you. The only eyes that cry in our house are mine. Do you want to break up? You say, calm as ever. No, I don't. I'll break myself first, because ribs must come from somewhere. I want to be touched like God touches Adam, just one hand parting cloud to grasp yours, like a child grasps her mother's when born with no name, just a call, just the world in her ribs. I don't want you to cry. But I cry all the time because everyone I love will one day die. What sits in the cage we call ribs? Name it love, for want of some God, lost mother. Love's in the pan, puckered. How lucky of me to have loved in abundance, but there's only space for so many organs, only one heart with all of its pockets. I used to feel safest when I started love like a bird, then lonely, a shell with no egg. Incision, incision, misfortune to love me, this crescent, this half. I was born in the moon blue, surefire. You were born sun-clasped and shy. When people say peace has its season, I ask which it is, and if so, can I eat it? Can I keep it here in my ribs? Will it be safe? Will you? Will you go when I tell you to go, so I don't have to lose you? Or is peace the name that you take when you're out in the rain? See, this is it. Incision, incision, oh love, take me for ribs. Sadness is systems, and starscape gone breath dark. And so what if the moon's missing? God's missing too. There are only so many stars in the pan, I mean plan. Come in from the rain, bite the egg of me open, and take the sun from within.
Give it up for Disha, give it up for Disha. Check if May is in the room with us. May, okay, good. Just want to make sure. All right, y'all. We got one more, and then don't forget we have reception time. Lots of gay wine, lots of indie wine, and cake. All right. If I see any food at the end, I'm gonna come for all of you. All right. Last up. Let's put up for our last reader, actually. Yeah. May Juniper Stokes writes, paints, and works in the public library in Vermont. Their fiction has appeared in The Rumpus, Foglifter, and The Forge, Strange Horizons, and elsewhere. For updates on her work, head to May Juniper Stokes, Substack.com. Give it up for May.
Hey. Hey. This has all been so beautiful. I'm going to try to read 2 flash fiction pieces, so I'm going to jump right into it. This first one is in this edition of Foglifter, called Mercury. The second time we died, frost clung to the magnolia blossoms, and we could smell them both, the petals and the frost that put them to sleep. In the morning, the tree had dropped all its blooms, the huge fleshy petals like hands strewn through the streets. The morning we died for the 3rd time, while wagon wheels smashed the petals into grease and everything curled with the scent of death, a scent that we would discover didn't always follow us. Certainly, it hadn't been there the first time we died. It didn't come again until Death 9, which happened by the lake in the soft, misshapen gibbous moonlight, one of our more beautiful deaths. But in the morning, the smell of fish, gone soft and foamy. We tried to always be holding hands when we died, but sometimes this wasn't enough, and by death 16, I was pressing my whole body to yours, as if to keep you there with me. Thistle clung to your shirt, and I chased after you, then knelt to pluck it off. You placed a hand on my head, but wouldn't look me in the eyes. Death 28, we tried to initiate, to see if that made a difference. But our fall was softened by a passing peanut wagon, so we died glazed in salt and the scent of hot oil and earth. Later, we found peanuts in our pockets and ate them for supper, even though we'd long since discovered that we no longer needed to eat. You were trying to die without me. I knew it. I followed you everywhere. I was afraid you'd try to initiate again, but you told me, up on the rooftop, in a warm, heavy rain, to stop, asking if you wanted to die. Of course you wanted to live. It's all you wanted. The only thing in the world you wanted anymore. Still, you let me hold your hand. And everywhere, the scent of electricity laced the smell of the earth's bacteria loosed by rain. After that, the deaths got sweeter, or you were sweeter to me. In the barn, you held my head in your lap and braided my hair. The cows lamented, and we sank into the smells of hay and butter and shit. Later, we tried bicycling while it happened. You pedaled, and I sat behind with my chin over your shoulder, everything fresh and windswept. Once you undressed me and traced your finger over my belly and down my thighs, and then tucked your nose into my neck, hot breath on my shoulder, and we died like that, perfect, with frogs jazzy in the bog and laundry dancing on the line. Then one day, you weren't there, and I knew you'd managed it without me. Knew it even as I biked over cobbled roads and climbed the slick mossy walls to our rooftop, and raced over the thistle hill, and dove into the lake calling for you. When my hunger returned, I knew it was over, and wept while I filled myself with bread. All I had of you then was the photograph, the one we found just before death number 1. We found it in an oddity shop, buried beneath quarter-full perfume bottles and a skull I told you belonged to a fox. I picked up a tiara of glass anemone and tried to crown you, but you shoved me away, pale, and held forth the image. In it, older than either of us by at least 20 years, but it's you without a doubt. The daguerreotype is a mirror, silver and black, and in it you are alone, and you ensnare the lens with a self-possession neither of us have yet to know. When we found it, a horror overtook us both, and in a wash of copper and mercury and light, we disappeared. I keep your image with me always, as proof that you've endured, and in 20 years, when I see you in the streets dressed like this, holding yourself just like this, we'll enter the Photoshop together. I will prepare the silver plates, sit you on the stage, and temper the light. And then, holding your powerful gaze, I'll capture your likeness myself. All right, the second one appeared in The Forge. It's called Dog Ears. Avery slept in her grandmother's bed, which was slim with springs that surfaced like fish and cried out every time she moved. A chattering bed, and very small, like her grandmother had been. The smallness, not the chatter. Her grandmother had been quiet, though not overly so. She'd made the exact amount of noise it took to not be noticed. The bed smelled of her grandmother, or maybe it was the room, or maybe it was her grandmother's nightgown, which Avery slipped on before she got into bed. Silk with a lace collar, its texture contrasted the unwashed wool bedding. Being in the bed was like sleeping inside the body of an animal. On the walk there, through the syrupy blue of winter at dusk, a coyote had crossed her path. Yellow, dog-sized, but with the self-assured immediacy of something undomesticated. It jogged fearlessly before her, close enough to grab and bite. Avery tried to watch it leave, but the woods swallowed it whole, and then she was alone again. She packed whiskey and sourdough bread and aged cheddar like all the other times, as if passing first through the green and amber kitchen, with its jam jar border, she'd find her grandmother in the sitting room before the electric fire and its pretend flames, a book on the slender folding table beside her recliner. Avery had dreaded seeing the book there, the last one forever unfinished. But when she arrived, she could tell her family had been there before her to tuck everything away. The house still smelled grandmotherly, not floral, but infused with the clean female musk of the old, of a house clean of garbage but not overly washed. She'd never spoken, or they'd never spoken much. All they did was sip whiskey and read together before the fire, each with their separate tastes. Her grandmother a reader of sophisticated essay collections, and Avery with her dark and frothy fairy tales. Peaceful reading, though sometimes Avery would startle with paranoia. What if her presence there was only endured out of grandmotherly duty? It was difficult for Avery to believe anyone liked having her around. The one time she'd seen her grandmother bring attention to herself was at a family party. Shrunken and inward at the end of a loud table, her grandmother was fed tiny portions and sweetly condescended to with close, booming voices. Her family assumed she was deaf, but mostly left alone, decorative, as if she were already a photograph set on the mantle. Avery couldn't remember what it had been that time. Her degree, her dating life, her gender, her haircut, or the tattoo on her chest. The conversations at these parties always steered in the end to her, as if she were magnetized, as if she were a recurring and exquisitely pickable scab. Avery ignored her uncle's commentary, studying instead the bowl of mashed potatoes, its varied and sensual valleys and hills. Her grandmother's hand flicked out then, quick and vicious, the tongue of a snake to grip her uncle's wrist. She stood to her full, minuscule height and told him to go fuck himself. The table startled into silence. Her grandmother released his wrist, shook it off, then walked away to sit alone in the mudroom. She carried herself with the stilted yet honeycombed air of a preteen. Dementia, Avery's aunt said then. I hate to say it, but one of the signs of a change in personality. In the mudroom, Avery wrestled on her shoes. Her grandmother kept her face turned severely toward the window. Avery was still in a fog and frightened of losing whatever had been offered, so she left without saying anything. But later that week, whiskey and sourdough and cheddar in her canvas bag, the shadowy woods, and then reading by the heatless and repeating fire. The ritual lasted less than a year, but it was a year wherein most of the time Avery managed to maintain a precious clarity of mind. Now the walls of her grandmother's house moved as if shaken by an army of mice. Muscular trees swelled the windows. The nightgown ended just above her knees. She'd been the one to find her grandmother on the kitchen floor. The ambulance took a long time, during which Avery lay beside her and held her hand. Silently, they both took in the shapes of the kitchen ceiling. As the paramedics bore her away, she held Avery's gaze with a forceful intensity, a look full of meaning, though what meaning? What Avery wanted it to mean was they never knew us at all. Before bed, she'd scoured the house for a journal, a photo album, a secret Word document on the antiquated desktop for any record of her grandmother's inner life. She found nothing. Even the great, erudite collection of books kept their secrets. She'd looked through them all. No scrawls in the margins, no stray bookmarks, not a single dog-eared page. Avery wasn't supposed to be here. Her family would be here in the morning to finish packing up the house. They'd crack open the door, see her asleep in her grandmother's bed, and scream. In the end, she suspected they'd let her keep the books.
Dramatic. I know. Give it up, y'all, for our last reader. And I'm gonna miss everyone, so keep giving it up. Thank you so much to Christian Bancroft, to DeeSoul Carson, to Alana, to Bryana, who's got Nikki here. Give it up to Sean, to Monica King, to mossotti, to Magenta Naaku, to Meg, to Jennifer Stokes, to ATCO, and to Disha Trivedi. Thank you all. Thank you to the audience for being here this entire night. We really, really appreciate you guys. This is a labor of love by a bunch of queers with some relationship to the Bay who just want to continue to make space for us to have community, literature, and time. So, I mean, really, there was another Pisces moment over there in the corner. I started crying. So I really appreciate you all being here. Thank you again to Hawthornden, and to Lauren, and to Dan, and to everyone who's helped us. I've coordinated this event tonight. Thank you so much for that today. A couple things to let you go drink and be gay and merry. Y'all see this? How many left over there, Marina? 1,000! Only $15. Okay, thank you. And also, again, last time, if you've not filled out the survey, please let us know and give them to Marina over there in the corner, or myself. We will take them gladly. We still have some cake. We still have some LGBTQIA plus wine and snacks. So please, we can hang out for a little bit here, y'all. Talk to me, talk to anybody, talk to each other. There's books as well. The porch is open, and also all the readers could meet us in the kitchen for a good picture or two if you're open to it. Really appreciate it. But otherwise, thank you. We appreciate you so much. Thank you, people at home. Let's hang out. Thank you.